Welcome to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel. My name is Jacob, and I'm going to be providing a brief rundown of the player ratings for Everton's first match of the Premier League Summer Series with Bournemouth. 3-0 defeat. Obviously, it's not the result you want, but it's a good 90 minutes, and I think bearing where the squad is, you take a full 90 minutes and you take a first half where I think that Everton look comfortable in attack, especially with Dwight McNeil and James Garner playing wing back and Jake O'Brien and Vitaly Mykolenko in the center. And I think you kind of have to write it off, and you look at it going into the next match against West Ham on Wednesday as 90 more minutes in the tank. Obviously, you need more signings, but for now, it is what it is. We had seven guys in the squad go full 90 in what was some pretty oppressive heat at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. So let's go ahead and get into the player ratings. In goal, full 90 minutes, Jordan Pickford. He lets in 3 goals, 2 of them arguably not his fault, and I think he makes a couple strong saves, and we all know that he's as reliable as they come. Give him a solid 6, I think, for his effort. I mean, a couple really strong saves. His distribution was decent, and I think that once you get the continuity with the back line, he looks better and better as well. So a 6 for Jordan Pickford. At right back, we have Nathan Patterson. Not the strongest showing from Nathan Patterson, I'd say. The second goal, it's a poor touch, and it leads to a Ouattara goal that's pretty preventable, and it goes back to some of the problems that we've been talking about for a while with Everton needing a right back, and hopefully, there's some movement in the transfer window. But it's a 3 for Nathan Patterson in the end. I think overall he did okay. He's not your starter in all likelihood at the start of the season, and a couple of bad mistakes, and he's not doing anything that blows you away, but it's a 3 for Nathan Patterson at right back. Jake O'Brien, we're going to give him a 5. I think that he was relatively decent most of the game, and again, he played right back for a lot of last season, and he slots in at center back today with Mykolenko and then with the odd wing back pairing, and I think he does pretty well. The third goal, obviously, it's an unfortunate back pass that leads to a preventable goal, but Jake O'Brien, reliable, had a bad moment, and I think otherwise he did pretty well, so it's 5. Mykolenko, I'm going to go 4. There's no obvious moments besides maybe the Philip Billing goal where you might expect him to come up and close, but I think it's a hard job putting him at center back as a primary left back, and he's playing out of position, and it doesn't come naturally. But I don't think he did terribly, and I think he was overall okay. I think O'Brien was probably the slight strong one of the two outside of the mistake, but it's going to be a 4 for Vitaly Mykolenko. So left wing back, it's Dwight McNeil. I'm going to give Dwight McNeil a 6. Really, he played a full 90, same as the entire back line. I think Dwight McNeil looked really lively in the first half. I think a lot of the things that we saw, despite the big injuries last season, we saw today. The willingness to run up and down the wing, the ability to get crosses into the box, and some of the passes, they weren't great, and you want that final service to probably improve once we get into the season. But of course, it's preseason, and you like what you see from him, especially in the link-up play with Alcaraz and going down the wing. And so it's a 6 for Dwight McNeil, and I think he was one of the brighter spots for us today. Right wing back, we've got James Garner. I'm going to give James Garner a 5. I think that he's played right back before, and I don't think it's a position that's necessarily extremely foreign for him. Obviously not a preferred position as a midfielder, but I think he did okay today. There wasn't anything where you put your hands up and you hold your blushes for him. And I think given the squad situation, that's pretty much the best you can ask for him. He goes full 90. He gets a yellow card early for a marginally bad challenge, but I think at the end of the day, he does all right, and it's a 5. Um, in the midfield, we've got Idrissa Gana Gueye. I'm going to give Idrissa a 6. I think that was a pretty classic performance from Idrissa Gueye. He played 82 minutes. He was all over the place for a majority of the game, lots of tackles. He's that disruptor in the engine room that I think Everton are really going to need to be successful this season. We're going to need a lot of classic Idrissa Gueye, if you will, sliding into challenges, playing the right pass, being tough on the ball. And I think mostly he did a really good job of that today. I think as the fatigue set in for the entire squad, the levels went down, and I think you could see that with him too. He struggled a little bit in the second half, but I think that's a product of the heat and the fatigue, and it's still being July, and we have 3 weeks until the season, so it's a 6 for Idrissa Gueye. Timur Abunam, I'm going to go 6.5 for Timur Abunam. I personally was extremely impressed by Timur Abunam. He's a player that I think is a little bit comparable to Onana and a little bit comparable to Idrissa Gueye in a way that he isn't afraid to go into a challenge. He's really tough on the ball. He can make the right pass moving forward. And I think today he was exemplary, I think. He played 65 minutes. It's the same for Idrissa Gueye. I think as the levels went down, I think he struggled a little bit more with the fatigue. But it was a really strong 75 minutes from Timur Abunam, and you think David Moyes is probably happy with that performance as hopefully another guy you can count on heading into the season for, at the very least, some squad depth. So it's going to be a 6.5 for Abunam. So looking up top, Iliman Ndiaye, I'm going to give him a 7. I thought Iliman Ndiaye, especially in the first half when things were really flowing for Everton, I thought it was classic. I think it was classic Ndiaye in the sense that he was lively on the ball. He looked to dribble past everyone. He was linking up the midfield with those attackers up top, and that's what you want. He looked dangerous. I mean, he always looks like he'd score a goal at pretty much any time. And I think that's one of the things that the supporters have really grown to like about Iliman Ndiaye. He's that touch of class, that touch of instant magic that I don't think Everton have had in a while. And I think a lot of that was on display today, especially in the first half. So it's a strong 7 for Ndiaye. Obviously, you would like to see a goal or an assist, but outside of that, it was a pretty complete first half performance. The tired legs get him. He goes off in the 75th minute, but you're encouraged overall with Ndiaye's play today, I think. So it's a 7. Carlos Alcaraz, de facto man of the match for me. I think Alcaraz extremely impressive as our first summer signing. It's one that everybody wants to get done, and you think, good, get the momentum early, because he comes in January and he's really impressive. And I think you saw a lot of that today. It's the linking from the back to the front. He plays that kind of hybrid 10 role really well, where he's able to get on the ball in the midfield, and he's so comfortable moving the ball from the midfield to the front three. And he was pretty much at the center of every really well-worked Everton attack in the first half. He had a couple of shots that got deflected. I think he had one saved as well. Really strong performance. I think he's a guy that you could probably count on this season to get double-digit goal contributions if the team's firing and things are going the way you want it to. And I think today was a strong example of why you see that. It seems like he has really good chemistry with Dwight McNeil and Iliman Ndiaye, and I think that his play today was, I think it was classic in form for him, playing the ball into spaces, never afraid to shoot a goal, really accurate as well with some of these through balls. 7.5, man of the match, really impressed. Hopefully see more of that as we get closer to the season. Up top, Beto, last of the starters, 75 minutes for Beto, our new number 9. I'm going to give him a 5. I don't think he was necessarily unimpressive. I think he didn't get a ton of chances. He had the chance at the end of the first half that was saved pretty well by Petrovic in goal. He had a couple, 1 or 2 offsides. But I think mostly for Beto, it's going to be where he found success last season, running in behind, getting into the channels, being able to use his figure to really impose himself on those runs on goal. And you think to the missed chances, you just want him to maybe get just a touch more clinical this season. And I think if he does, the goals could really come flying in for him. And so you're not discouraged today. You maybe, I mean, of course, it's disappointing your number 9 doesn't go and score a goal, but I think overall you're happy with what you see from Beto up top. It's nothing that lit the world on fire, and it's nothing that really made you shake your head. So it's a 5 for Beto today. So Everton made 4 subs today. It's a light bench, as we know. The need for squad depth in Tarkowski, Keane, Jared Branthwaite, among others, not available. So first 3 subs, Tierno Barry comes on for Beto, plays 15 minutes. His first real action in a game for Everton. I'm going to give him a strong 6.5. I think he looked really impressive. I think he was really lively when he came on, and I think it was a lot more apparent how lively he was because of how tired everyone else up top was. But he was quick on the press. He looked like he wanted to be involved. He didn't shy away from the ball. And he's a guy that I'm really high on personally. I think that he's not going to start at the beginning of the season, obviously, but this is a guy that I think that the Friedkin Group and David Moyes are both really excited about as a young guy. I think it's a strong 6.5. I think he showed in very limited minutes what they see in him, and I think that is as good of an introduction without a goal as you can get. So 6.5. Next up, Yusuf Trimidi, another guy that played 15 minutes. Not as much. I'm going to give him a 6. Not as much involvement as Barry, but he did decently on the ball when he was on it. Not a lot of opportunity to really show anything today. No good, no bad. I think he was all right. And that's another one where maybe he goes on loan this season. But I think in the 15 minutes today, it was relatively good. So it's a 6 for Yusuf Trimidi. And then we had 15 minutes for Harrison Armstrong, who came on for Timmy Arbunam. Harrison Armstrong, somebody I'm really excited about personally, obviously on loan last year at Derby County, came on for 15 minutes. He did pretty well, I thought. I think it's a strong 6 for Harrison Armstrong, and that might be looking through a biased lens because he didn't have the opportunity to affect the game substantially. But I think that him and Irabunam both are guys that I think they're hoping to be able to count on this season, and I think if you can, it's all the better. And I think there's a real player in Harrison Armstrong, and I think it's an encouraging 15 minutes. I mean, obviously you're down 3-0 and it's hot and everybody's tired and it's New Jersey, MetLife Stadium, and so it's hard. But I think he does well, and it's a 6 for Harrison Armstrong. Last player to be subbed on for Everton today was Tyler Onyengo, another midfielder that maybe you're not super sure about this year, that maybe you would like to send on loan again. He plays 7 minutes. He's another guy that doesn't really have an opportunity to impact the game in any substantial way. I'm going to give him a 5 because I'm not sure if he even touched the ball more than 3 or 4 times. But that's another guy, I think, if you can get him a good loan this season, and then you're hopefully looking for Abunam and Armstrong to be in that first team. But another guy that I think the club as a whole are really excited about, a young, tall, athletic midfielder, and those are the kind that you want in the club, obviously. So it's a good, 10-minute cameo for Tyler Onyengo. It's good to see him with the first team. And besides that, I mean, there's not much to say. It's a brief spell. And so that, I believe, is everyone who has featured in Everton's 3-0 loss to Bournemouth. Just final thoughts on the game. I think we did well in the first half. I think we were the better team. And then the second half, I think the levels dropped off pretty strongly. And I think once Bournemouth made the changes, Everton were always up against it. And I think it, highlights the importance of remembering that preseason is preseason and that minutes are minutes and that these results aren't super important outside of, the messaging you're sending in the United States to people like me. But otherwise, I think it also just illustrates the need for more signings. I think that Everton are in a spot where squad depth is needed. Obviously, Moyes has said the last couple of days he wants a bundle of new signings, and I think we're all hoping that's the case. So that is it for Everton and Bournemouth, the first game of the Premier League Summer Series. Everton are back in action on Wednesday against West Ham. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and check back in next time at the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. Goodbye.